The one I wanted to focus on was Evan Carter. Such an interesting player to evaluate. Only 21 years old, has huge prospect pedigree, played 40 games last year between the regular and the postseason, hit 6 home runs with 6 steals, displayed a ridiculous eye at the plate, basically did not swing at pitches outside of the strike zone, but somehow managed to strike out a lot. His BABIP was over 400, and he's been really bad against lefties in the minors. So, Chris, Evan Carter is, I use the word interesting, complicated. I think that's probably not, like, he feels kind of hard to
terrifying.
He feels hard to project moving forward, I would say.
I think a lot of it is going to come down to how many bases he steals, because I think he's going to be probably just a decent power hitter. Like, I don't want to put a ceiling on a player this young who was as good as he was in the major league at the major league level last year, but like, I'd be surprised if it was much more than 20, given the quality of contact, given the minor league track record where he has 27 homers in 246 games. You start to pace that out. That's more like a 17 homer pace over a full season. He's really young. He succeeded at the major league level, but the quality of contact metrics. So, like, if he's not a 25 stolen base guy, it gets a little harder to see how he justifies this. You know, if you play in an OBP league, that might be different because he should be very, very good in that format. But I think I'm not likely to draft Evan Carter this year.
You know who I feel like
the way I'm going to say it.
You know who I feel like you just described, though? It's a player from the previous tier, Christian Yelich.
Yeah, I think that's a decent comp for Evan Carter. Yeah, like what Christian Yelich is now.
Right, and you know, I called Christian Yelich in that previous tier where he was alongside Luis Robert and Michael Harris. I called him a floor play from that tier, and obviously nobody would call Evan Carter a floor play. He's not proven enough to have earned that, but he's a tier lower. And so Frank and I talked about it a lot when he got called up last year. We were very skeptical of him being a fantasy asset right away because he seemed underdeveloped physically and the exit velocity readings weren't great and there just wouldn't be enough power. And he immediately proved us wrong in a pretty dramatic way. And by postseason, you know, the Rangers obviously went on to win the World Series. So they had a long postseason run where they did quite well for themselves. And they moved Evan Carter up to like third, fourth in the batting because of how much they valued his contributions. I think it's a diverse skill set. Obviously elevated by the on-base skills, obviously elevated by the fact he's a pretty good base stealer. I'm not sure whether he's going to end up more of a 15 homer type or a 25 homer type, but I think there will be enough there. I think he'll either be like something like a Christian Yelich or maybe a speedier Brandon Nimmo, or maybe even better that.
But there's a Michael Harris upside outcome.
Yeah, sure.
No, and I'll admit, I just kind of assumed that his price was a little closer to Christian Yelich, but that's not the case. He's going about 50 picks later. So that does make me feel a lot better about it. And Evan Carter around 125 overall, actually, that seems fine.
I thought the way he finished the year and what he did in the postseason, the ADP actually would be higher for Evan Carter.
Yeah, I did too. I thought I was trying not to overdo it in my rankings, and I think I am higher than the consensus.
He's going behind, he's going behind where like Jeremy Pena was at this time last year. And obviously Pena had a longer rookie season in addition to the big postseason, but I did assume that the postseason was going to push him a little higher than it ended up going. And so I'll take that back. 125th overall ish. That strikes me as perfectly reasonable for Evan Carter.
I think part of it is, you know, in the moment, obviously we're just kind of reveling at everything that Evan Carter was doing. But then once the season ends and you see, all right, his BABIP was unsustainably high and the strikeouts and some of the split stuff, like, yeah, he can improve. Obviously he's still so young and he does have that pedigree, but I don't know. I have questions about projecting the steals too. Like if he's batting cleanup, are they going to let him run? I don't know if that's going to happen, man. So I don't think I'm going to draft him.
We're kind of going pretty far here with the Evan Carter analysis,
Sure.
but like I mentioned, underdeveloped physically. He's what, 21? Did he just turn 22?
I think he just turned 21.
You look at him and you see the potential for added muscle, and what is that going to do for his exit velocities? I think it remains to be seen, but there could be upside yet to come, exit velocity wise.
Yeah, he doesn't turn 22 until August.